Welcome, new and returning listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blacksher, broadcasting to you live from the city of Diversity, Oakland, California, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every news Thursday. Today, we are going to have a short show, but let's be clear here, audience. We have a West Coast, specifically Oakland and Alameda County, that has been under siege with crime, grime, mayor's house getting raided by the FBI, the district attorney's office being scrutinized by the governor of the state of California, Gavin Newsom, for turning down his request to have people come in, attorneys come in and help address the crime issues that are plaguing this city. We have so much politics going on here in Oakland that we have had to take some time off to get it in sync, and we will be coming back to you addressing what is going on here in Oakland, California. Why is the mayor's office being raided? Why are the businesses here in the corridor of Hagenberger, California, being brutalized by these thugs? Example, just recently, a 76 gas station was rampaged by over 100 plus people at 4 o'clock in the morning after a sideshow, after the mayor of Oakland and her partner, Andre Jones, being under investigation for a pay-to-play, and so on and so forth. So those are the negative things that we know that are in the news. You can't deny them. But moving forward, my grandfather, who was a preacher, he said, if we know the problems, then we need to find solutions. And that is part of how we're going to move forward on the Black Business Roundtable on blackusa.news network under breaking news. We have reached out to organizations that can get first-time homeowner up to $150,000 down payment for their homes that they're purchasing for the first time. We have groups and organizations are going to teach our senior citizens about being brutalized financially. We have a certified fraud examiner who's going to talk about how senior citizens can avoid being criminalized by these thugs and punks and bad actors and taking their money. We're going to talk about real estate in the Bay Area, and we are going to focus on not just the problems, but the solutions. And I want to segment into that with this. Our next governor, our next candidate running for governor for the great state of California, Mr. Barack D. Obama. What's going on, man?
Oh, everything's great. Everything's great. I just
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I wanted to segment what I just said into you because California is being ravaged by so many issues. In Oakland, California, County of Alameda is being brutalized by issues in the administration of the executive team for the city of Oakland. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who sees these things. We as a city, as a county, and as a state, I've talked to colleagues that come from all across the United States, Boston, Atlanta, Florida, Chi-Town, Little Rock, Arkansas, Louisiana. They're asking me, what the hell is going on here? They said, I've never heard of a mayor getting raided by the FBI. You know what? Look at me. I scratch my head and go, me neither. That's all I can say. I don't know all the facts. So I refuse to pass judgment on something I don't know. But to that end, Mr. Barack D. Obama Shaw, today we're going to have an audience. Obama is my co-host today on this short segment. I want to thank you for coming on the show. You continuously articulate and educate our people on what elected officials should be like and would be like if we would start registering and then voting. Because we have politicians now who are being alleged to have pay-to-play games going on, who are alleged to be soft on crime, who are alleged to forget the constituents who have voted them in. And the young lady who we have asked to come on briefly today, because it's on short notice, but she's going to be coming back on in 2 weeks. She's running for the state Senate of California, a sister who I have met out there as an Alameda County Democratic Central Committee member, as a California Democratic Party delegate, and just as a good human being. Because from my conversations with my numerous hundreds, if not thousands, and tens of thousands of colleagues across this great state of California, they are asking me, where you guys getting your politicians from? San Quentin, Alcatraz, Rikers Island? And, I do like this again. Well, all those things are alleged to be. We don't know. But the media is perpetrating Oakland, California as being a mecca for thugs, punks, carjackers, housejacking. In addition to that, I'm going to say this one joke, but it's a serious joke, but it's a joke. A friend of mine said he was back in New York, and he said somebody was getting ready to rob him. And when he opened up his shirt and it said Oakland, California, the dude handed him the gun and gave him his wallet. To that end, we need to change that narrative. But go, Barack, tell us about, first off, yourself, Rings of Truth, and then in about 6 minutes, we want to introduce a young lady who is running for the state senate of this great state, Jovanka Beckles, who I think would be an awesome candidate, who is intelligent, articulate, and has been out there hitting the ground pavement for years. Take it away, Mr. Obama.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You had me. It's good to laugh. I really like that. But a lot of truth is told in jokes, right? So, my name is Barack D. Obama Shaw. I've been on the show before, and I'm running for the office of governor of the state of California. And a lot of the things that Doug was speaking about, I think that it's important to know that you can't get rid of the fundamentals. The fundamentals of treating people like you'd like to be treated, and not treating people the way they're treating you, but following the golden rule. And so, with being in politics, I think it's the principle of serving, being of service, and that we should look at serving our way to the top and not trying to take shortcuts. You say pay to play and things of that sort, but really come humble, be have the humility to know that you're not better than the people that you're serving. You're actually a representative. You're representing them. And so you want to put your best foot forward, uh, and come from your heart, and treat other people the way you like to be treated, and not talk over people's heads, and just be real. And it's not, I think it's not about, oh, I gotta win this office, right now, or my life's over. No, if you're committed to serving, you just continue to serve until your time comes, and until you get enough votes or what have you. You don't have to play the tricks and play the games with people. uh, and just be real. And if you're real with people, your time will come. It may be this election, the next election, or what have you, but have a track record of being real with people, because people really know, they can sense that. I remember when I was a kid, when Jimmy Carter was running for president. It just, I was a kid, but it was something about him. I just thought he was a good guy. People may argue about the type of president he was, but and after he was a president, he actually did some great things, and uh, great humanitarian efforts and things of that sort. But we're just saying, as a child, I knew he was all right. He was a good guy, and that's what I, aspire to be, a good man. Someone that people can say, you know what, I believe this guy's a good guy, and he's gonna do right by us if we give him the opportunity. And that's who I am, and I want to continue to be the man that, when I look in the mirror before I go to bed at night, and when I get up in the morning, I want to like the person I see. And if I can't do that, then I've definitely failed. If I can't do that, and that's just who I am, and that's who I've always been in life, and that's who I'm going to continue to be. And I'll be requesting your votes coming soon, and giving you more information about how to support what we're up to. And thank you for your time and your attention there.
Well, let's be clear here. Mr. Obama, the Black Business Roundtable on blackusa.news network, which goes from coast to coast and border to border. And as I've said in previous shows, we had a brother call from Shanghai, China, says, "What's up?" I said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" But we need to have more politicians out there that people can relate to. Right now, Oakland is the center of jokes from coast to coast, border to border. And we need to have politicians such as yourself, politicians who I'm getting ready to introduce in less than 2 minutes, to come on and articulate and educate themselves to our audience that Oakland is not the laughing stock of this nation. Sometimes you got to have a storm so stuff can grow. And everything that has been alleged, whether it be from city council, through the mayor's office, through the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, through the district attorney, state of California, or nationally here, all of it is alleged right now. But your persona, your character, your image is the type of image that we want to project across this country, that Oakland has good people who are running. We need to, first off, get registered. Second off, vote. Third off, which should be second, start going to your local um, committees, whether it be Democrat or Republican, but understanding who you're voting for and what they stand for. We have people right now, when they go to vote, it's almost like they put a dartboard up and they throw a dart and go, "Oop, I'm gonna vote on number three because I hit number three. Oop, I'm gonna vote on number two because I hit number two." We need to understand what these people represent and how they're going to represent us. And on that note, I would like to bring on stage a sister who I have been thoroughly impressed with, who has fought the good fight and continues to fight the good fight. and her name is Jovanka Beckles, running as a
Hello.
candidate for.
Right, all
Hey,
right.
how you doing, my sister?
I am well, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation. And I'm actually glad to have been able to listen to you also, Brother Shaw. It really is encouraging to hear actual human beings. And human beings have a heart, and human beings have, flowing blood, red blood, and human beings are not machines. And so it just really is wonderful to hear a human being coming from your perspective, who is wanting to serve and serve the public. So thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you, and definitely Brother Doug. I've had the honor of our paths crossing in the areas that you mentioned, through these democratic spaces. Yes.
Awesome. Pleasure. My pleasure
Let's
as well.
Where did Doug go? Where Brother Doug go?
Sometimes there's a little bit of a little spin there with I think he's coming over.
There.
I'm back.
You're back.
Jovanka,
Good.
Jovanka, I want to turn the stage on over to you and have you tell our national and international audience about what you stand for, a little bit about what you do. We're going to have a full interview in 2 weeks.
All
But
right.
as I don't know if you heard from the beginning of the show, I beat up Oakland, the county, the state for things that they're not doing. I've just hooked up with a group of people. First off, they have first time home owner program that will give first time homeowners up to $150,000
Wow.
to put down on their home, first home.
Wow. Okay.
I just hooked up with another organization who's going to be doing certified fraud examination on people, senior citizens who are being bullied, manipulated out of their lifetime saving. I just hooked up with a young lady in another organization who is going to start working with people who look like us here on this stage
Yes.
with economic viability, sustainability, and generational wealth. But to that end, you are going to be a part of that new wave of not just complaining, not just excuses, not just problems, but solutions. That's the key. We got too many problems here in Oakland. We got too many problems here in Alameda County. We got too many problems here in the state of California. What we need now, we need to hear solutions. So that I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah.
Yes, solutions
oriented
public service. That's what I'm about. And just because this may be the first time that I'm meeting, you, not you all, but just that your folks are meeting me and vice versa. I do want to just kind of give you a little bit about who I am. As it says there, my name is Jovanka Beckles. I'm a Black Latina. Some folks say Afro Latina. I like to say Black because just like we don't say Afro Americans anymore, I like to say I'm a Black Latina. I immigrated to the United States when I was 9 years old from Panama. As many of you know, the history of Panama, a lot of, of course, our enslaved ancestors were shipped through the Caribbean. A lot of them landed in Cuba and and Haiti. Many landed in Brazil as well. But in the course of history, as we evolved, and the opportunity came for really good jobs in Panama, which is a Latin American country, Spanish speaking country. Many of our ancestors, my ancestors from Barbados, immigrated to Panama to get some really good paying jobs. And the reason why many of the Black folk from Barbados got those jobs is because we were bilingual. And so in order to build that huge canal, they needed folks who not only spoke Spanish, they needed folks who spoke English. and hence the population growth of Panamanian, of Black Panamanians really began to happen. So I immigrated from Panama when I was 9 years old. I lived a little bit of everywhere. My stepfather was in the Air Force. I lived with my stepfather and my mother. And so having that experience of being a military brat, I think, really, of course, also shaped who I am. And that is just being open to all kinds of people, being open to change, being open to the idea that we're all equal, because on military bases, whether you are or not, everyone needs to at least have that show, right? At least it needs to be open, even though that, we know not everybody is and was, but they're better at least act like they believe that we're all equal in this space. And so growing up with that kind of idea, I worked really hard in high school. I got good grades. I was an athlete. I ran track, volleyball, softball, but I excelled in basketball and got a full ride scholarship to Florida A&M. Go Rattlers! I was really excited for that. But and I recommend it to as many of our young people as possible. That experience of going to an HBCU was one that I will never forget. And I truly recommend HBCUs for our young people who want to experience what it means to be the majority on a campus, right? As Black kids, oftentimes we're not the majority, and to go to these campuses where we are the majority, where the majority of the faculty are Black, makes a huge difference. So I got a scholarship for playing basketball. And of course, many of you know, in order to be a good athlete, you have to be disciplined. And so I come with that. I bring that to the table. Not only was I an athlete, but I also excelled academically. So I graduated from Florida A&M with my bachelor's degree in psychology. I graduated with honors. I graduated cum laude, that's like B plus, while being an athlete. And so, I got out of school, later earned my MBA, master's degree in business administration. But for the last 34 years, I've used my skills as a mental health professional. So I've been working in the mental health field for 34 years, 23 of those years as a wraparound facilitator. And it's because of this lived experience of who I am, living at the intersection of all of these different communities: Black, Latina, gay, woman, immigrant, 5 different aspects of who I am. I believe that I truly represent this Bay Area, this East Bay, which is one of the most diverse regions in the state of California. And I believe that, representation, of course, matters. We should have a representative who reflects the diversity of this region. But it's because of my lived and my work experience that I even got into, politics. This is a really, really, I would say, well, for lack of a better word, it's just not the best place you want to be when you come from, trying to bring goodness and coming from a heart, that wants to help people and help community. It is a rough place to be. But it was because in 2006, when my spouse and I moved to Richmond, we were we were the victims of a home invasion. Richmond at the time was going through some changes, and 2 young men, approached us when we're coming back from a gig. One of the other things I was doing at the time, because, this economy, even though I had a full-time, union job, I still had a little side gig. And that side gig was I was a DJ. So we were coming back from the gig at night. And that's when we were approached by these 2 young men with guns. But it as terrifying as that was, it was what they said that really motivated me to do something besides what I was doing, and that was besides healing children and families. But they held a gun to our son's head, and was like, what set you from, and are you holding? And my son is like, what? And despite that, looking around his room, he had his little pet rabbit, high school kid. He had a rabbit. He had his little guitar. He had his video games. And they just looked around his room and said, wow, it must be nice to be loved. And although it was hard to really grasp in that moment, later on, it really showed me just how much our young people are hurting, just how much they were. So we know when hurt people, right? It just showed how much hopelessness a lot of our young people were feeling. So when we were able to get over that trauma, um, I was like, I decided, you know what? What's needed in this community is we need more people who are going to create policies that directly impact and affect positively our young people. So in my work, I was always seeing babies being hungry. They would come to their individual or group therapy sessions with me hungry after school, didn't really get a good breakfast, didn't really get a good snack afterwards. Hearing the stories of families who were couch surfing because the rent was too high, so they couldn't afford it, they couldn't maintain it, so they were either evicted or still after 5 years trying to save enough money to be able to have the first, last, and deposit, which can be at times $9,000 in this state. And if someone like me, good union job, would have a hard time saving up $9,000. Imagine what someone who's barely making minimum wage. Imagine how that is, right? So I decided to run for office. I ran for Richmond City Council. And just went straight to work because I'm like, I know what we need. So working with the community, we started in Richmond electing corporate-free candidates, right? Okay, my time's up, but that's the key right there. So whether it's city council,
no,
okay,
no. I wanted to ask you a question.
yes,
I wanted to ask you a question because it's directly related to union.
yes,
California is a state known to fight for our
yes,
people.
yes.
Tell our audience your relationship with the union and specifically the ILWU, since that is a 74% African American
Yes,
membership, which
yes.
pays from $100 to $400,000 a year. Tell us about that endorsement, because now don't get me wrong. When you work at the ballpark and you're selling hot dogs and you're a vendor and you're making $25, $30 an hour, that's great.
Yeah.
But when you making $100,000 to $400,000, that will put you in a house.
That's gonna put you in a house.
At the denouement of what I talked about at the beginning of the show. If you're not making at least $100,000 a year in this city, in this county, in this region, you are almost homeless. Thank you.
You're almost homeless. Yes, absolutely. In fact, those are the people who qualify for low income. People making $75,000 a year qualify for low income housing in the state of California, in the Bay Area. That's insane. $75,000 should be able to buy you a house and whatever else you need, with a little disposable income. But coming back to your question about ILWU, I am so proud because, as you said, it is a majority. That union is majority Black, of color, so Black and brown folk, and I love that. And they were one of the unions of all the unions. They were the first ones on board in this candidacy. So it was ILWU, it was Teamsters, and it was ATU, Local 192. ATU, that's our bus operators, that's our bus drivers. Again, one of those unions that has a majority Black representation or Black membership. And ILW, with its bad self, recognize realness. And that was something that really, did my heart what good, is that recognizing when someone isn't just talking smack, but when someone is literally in the trenches with the community, when someone is literally, like in my case, advocating for our young people, for them to not send them to jail and not put them in shackles. I mean, I did that with the community, to avoid putting our children in shackles. That's a whole nother story I know we'll come back to. But when unions recognize that, okay, you know what, there are a lot of people that will tell you what they want, what you want them to hear. that's a politician. And then there are people who are telling you the truth because there's a long list of receipts that come with it. And ILWU is one of those unions that recognize its own, and I love that, and I'm so proud to have that endorsement. Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
know,
sir, brother.
I'm born, raised, grew up here in Oakland, and I've been here since 1963. And
Wow.
Senator Jovanka
It may
Beckles,
be so,
if
Ashe.
you're making
Amen.
good money, you are at work, not in my house. So, can you tell us your plan as a state senator? And we're not talking just black and brown, we're talking
Right.
all people. But
All
we know
people. Yes.
specifically, and LGBTQTP, we're talking everybody, the whole
That's
board.
right.
We
That's right.
are a state of, we are a country of
That's right.
everybody.
That's
It's
right.
not just black, it's not just
Right.
white, it's not just
Yes,
Hispanic,
that's right.
not just Asian. It is
Beautiful bouquet.
everybody. So
That's right.
tell us in a nutshell your plan to unite us. Thank you.
You know, this campaign is what is it's going to take, and I see that it is uniting us, because this campaign for state senate, it consists of a large, it consists of a huge, it's very incredibly diverse demographically. So with regard to race, with regard to age, with regard to everything, this campaign, represents that beautiful diversity. And so everything that I'm doing is for us. One of the things that's interesting is that we have why this campaign is going to be so important, and it's one of the most important races, is because it literally is going to be the people versus corporations, right? My opponent is taking a lot of money from these union busting corporations, from corporations that do not give a hoot about us. Corporations like DaVita. Some of you who don't know who DaVita is or what that is, DaVita is a kidney dialysis company that spent millions, almost up to $100 million, for the voters to vote against them having licensed nurses and licensed practitioners in their clinics. That's how despicable those people, though they are. And this is the kind of company that my opponent is taking money from. My opponent is also taking money from PG&E. PG&E making $2.2 billion a year, and yet they're still raising our rates. So, who is going to best represent, and this is all of us, because we're all in this boat, who is going to best represent us as a people and fight to hold these types of corporations accountable? And that's someone who's not taking their money. The person who's taking their money, we can count on getting the same old, which is what we've been getting, and that's nothing. That's nothing when it comes to the 99% of us versus that 1% of the population, right? So the 99% is such a beautiful bouquet of human beings, and that's what I'm fighting for. That's who I'm working for. That's what I'll continue to work for, because I'm not taking none of their money. See, that's the part. That's a game changer right there. That's a game changer when it comes to funding, providing resources for our community, right? When we have individual public officials who are not beholden to these corporations, but are beholden only to the community. That's how we're going to get the fighters that we need to obtain the resources that we need to thrive in all of our communities.
All right.
So I'm excited. I'm proud to be a part of this movement for the people, right? This movement for the people. This movement that consists of so many, it's a diverse coalition. And I'm really proud to be not just endorsed by a diverse coalition, but also supported by this, as you can go to my social media and really get a chance to check out. Because if we are not unified in this race, we are going to get a corporate representative as opposed to a representative, a people's representative. If we don't unite as labor, as black, brown, white, basically, if we don't unite as a working class, we are going to get our butts kicked.
Right.
And people don't currently, and I hope they start to recognize this whole project 2025. It's not just the about voting for a president and what they can do at the federal level. This project, this movement by that's led by white supremacy is a movement throughout our country, and so the local elections are equally as important, because if we have people that are fighting for us locally, basically no matter what happens at the federal level, at least we can be protected and defended when we have folks like myself who are representing a greater movement and a greater um, fight for for the people.
Let me excuse me, Mr. Governor Barack Obama. But let me ask you this.
I couldn't understand you.
Because California is being faced with a losing generational wealth and not having generational wealth, and the opportunity for not just black and brown people, money to buy their first homes, senior citizens that are getting pimped out of their lifetime savings. What plans, once you are elected, Senator, I like saying that, Senator Beckles, what plans do you have to work with organizations that will protect our seniors, that will protect our black and brown brothers and sisters, that will protect our LGBTQ plus people, that will protect all people against these predators who continuously uses California as a way to become multimillionaire? What checks and balances are you willing to bring and tell our audience so that they'll vote for you? Because they're not looking for a hand out. They're looking for a hand up.
Hand up. A hand up is how it's done. I do what I do because I love people. I love my community. I love the planet. There was a story about Miss Layla Madison, rest in peace, Miss Layla, who was a 97-year-old woman living in Richmond who had her home stolen by one of the banks after building this home in the 50s when she was a nurse. And living there all these years, they decided because, I think she may have, it's exploitation. Someone exploited her, was able to, somehow get her house moved from her possession to the banks. They ended up locking her out, a 97-year-old woman. And I was able to bring forward the community to help her get back in her home. And, I'm glad to say that, it took the community to do that with my lead. We got her back in her house. And, again, sadly, she has moved on. She's passed on from this realm. But, it just goes to show you just the greed, the level of greed that we're facing. And so for me, people can trust that what I say and what I promise to do, that I'll do, because it's what I've always done. It's going to take a multifaceted approach to addressing all of the issues. And that's the issue of affordability with regard to housing, the issue with regard to our healthcare system, and the greed that's associated with that, and why we still don't have a single player system that would allow everyone to have quality healthcare, and not just people with, necessarily a good job or have money, but everyone deserves quality healthcare. It breaks my heart when I see seniors who are homeless. It breaks my heart because after living on this planet so long, to not have a place to rest your head, to me, especially after having lived on this planet for so long, is sad. And it really is a loud statement of what we value in this society. And for me, I value everyone being able to be housed who wants to be, especially if you're a senior. I value the fact that it's living in the fourth largest economy in this world, that fourth largest economy in the world, that everyone should have quality education and healthcare. Everyone deserves a place to live. Everyone deserves good education. Everyone deserves to be able to move from A to point B with affordable transportation. So there's so much. I'm really proud when I was on the city council that I brought forward the first ban the box policy in the state of California. And for those who don't know what ban the box is, that's that question when we used to have print out, hard copies of applications. The question that you had to check: have you ever been convicted of a felony? Remember that box? Well, we banned that box. We were the first ones to do it in the state of California, where it gives returning citizens an opportunity to be treated fairly and have the opportunity to get employment. And that's part of the reason why Richmond's crime went down, because we addressed the root causes of crime. First of all, okay, people should be able to get a place to live. We passed the first rent control policy in California in 30 years. People should be able to have to get paid what they're worth. Richmond passed the highest minimum wage in the state of California during my tenure. Right? People should be to be able to, gain, employment, as I mentioned, should be able to have a place to live. So we passed the first rent control policy in 30 years. And there's so much that can be addressed when you have representatives that are thinking about what's in the best interest of the community versus how can I move on to the next level, the next election. And so that's one thing I'm really proud of, that everything I've done has been for the community and not how do I get to the next election? My opponent in this race, has never had a real job, right? He graduated from college, ran for city council, ran for mayor, and now wants to run for senator. That's what you call a career politician. And that's the kind of people that say whatever they need to say to be able to win, versus someone who's been a working class individual who wants to be able to bring power to the working class and not just self.
Well, as we close out, because Barack Obama and we need to do a wrap up.
All right.
Honorable Beckles, we've had powerful people like Ron Dellums, Elihu Harris, Barbara Lee, and soon to be you. What would you like to share with our constituents? And they're not just Black, they're not just white, they're not just Hispanic, they're not just LGBTQ, but what would you like to share with all of our audience? What you plan to bring to this state that is much needed, other than being raided by the FBI or being pissing off the governor regarding not needing to resolve. I'm using allegedly, but when I talk to my colleagues across the street, they're telling me, they said, "Man, what the hell what's going on in Old Town?"
Right. That's a whole nother story. But what I bring is integrity. What I bring is honor. What I bring is honesty. What I bring is selflessness for the community, for the planet. What I bring is representation. Our state offices should represent the state, right? And right now there are only 2 Black senators in the state. But the good thing about me is that I am here to represent everyone based on my identity, based on my work and lived experience. I'm bringing a corporate free message, which means that if you're tired of being screwed every single day by the kinds of votes that a lot of these politicians are making, if you're tired of that, then it's time for us as a working class, right? Which is hugely diverse, as you mentioned, right? The working class is diverse. If we bring together our individual selves into this greater collective, then we can have power to have the resources that we deserve. And I believe that we deserve a representative who's not going to stab us in the back, who is not going to sell us out once she gets elected. We would have someone who is going to always have the back of the community.
On that note, audience, look at this beautiful person on our platform today on the Black Business Roundtable on BlackUSA.News Network. We're talking Biggie Small, Tupac boxing match. We ain't talking border to border. and we're definitely talking to our Shanghai people who are watching. We're talking that when you watch this person, she is not representing one group of people. She's representing all people.
All of us.
And on that note, Jovanka Beckles, we look forward to having you back on.
Thank you. I look forward to it as well.
Some serious questions that our community, our city, our county, and our state, because Governor Gavin Newsom just sent out an email today saying that he was disheartened that our local officials turned down his handout to help us address some of the legal needs. And I'm reaching out to our City of Oakland mayor and our DA because we have a black eye right now. Oakland, Alameda County, we walking around with a patch on our eye. We need politicians like you who are real. And it's not, I'm going to close out with this, audience. I endorsed 6 people in the last election. I endorsed Rebecca Kaplan, Jonani Ramachandran, Shane Tao, Pamela Price, Jonani Ramachandran, and Kevin Jenkins. And out of the 6 people that the Black Business Roundtable endorsed, 5 won. We are looking at you. I'm going to have to reach out to Jesse because this campaign been reaching out to me. But we need people like you who are corporate free.
Yes.
And that's the key.
That's
because if a corporation puts hundreds of thousands of dollars into your campaign,
that's right.
You say, Jonani, close us out with what they're going to be expecting from you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's the key right there. Key to gaining power.
It's kind of like a bank. If you put your money, if you put your money into the Bank of America, they're going to want a what?
They're gonna want some interest. Return. Return on that investment, because it's an investment. They're investing in a politician. They're investing in getting that seat. They're gonna want a return on that. You better give it to them.
Jovanka, we look forward to having you on. And
thank you. 2 weeks.
We're looking on you to return in 2 weeks and bring to our audience your message to all people. And this is called the Black Business Roundtable because when you watch media, the larger media, they perpetrate Black people with baggy pants wearing, 40-ounce drinking, weed smoking, rappers, booty slanging, et cetera, but they don't have an opportunity to see intelligent, articulate people like was here on the stage here tonight. You like that,
huh? Oh yeah.
We'll see. We'll see you. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
See you all in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Awesome.
Mr. Obama, can you help close us out? Because let me just say this. We have moved into an era of people do not trust our government. People do not trust our elected officials. Tell us what your agenda is as we move forward. Thank you.
Well, we want to move out of the wild, wild west, right? And if you look at the old movies, old westerns, people would come and they'd do whatever they wanted to do because there were no consequences a lot of times, nobody recording things, nobody to answer to. So I think what needs to happen is similar to what Obama did when we went through the big breakdown in what was it, 2008? When the bottom kind of fell out with the market with the real estate. What they really started to do was they started to promote ethics. And then there were like ethics violations. And so basically, brought pain into the picture, because pain can be a heck of a motivator, to have people take ethics exams and testing to let them be clear on these are consequences of your actions. If you do this, that's jail time. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines. Don't do this, be on the right road. And people will straighten up. They will definitely straighten up, because pain definitely is a motivator. And that's what we need to bring into place, that what needs to happen, because it's like nobody's watching. Nobody saw me do this. Nobody knew. No, we're watching. and we're documenting what's happening, and we're going to hold you accountable for your actions. We're going to hold you accountable for that declaration when you put your hand on the book and raise your hand and say what kind of person you're going to be. We're going to let you know exactly what that is, the consequences of not being who you say you're going to be. And once we establish that type of clearing, that type of atmosphere, people will straighten up. And that's kind of how it is when the cops, everybody's speeding on the freeway, and then the cops start pulling people over. People start to slow down. They don't keep speeding up. They start to slow down. and stop. They'll stop driving recklessly and start obeying the law. So that's what's got to happen, is the ethics testing, and people writing their name on the dotted line to acknowledge that they understand what this means and the consequences of breaking these agreements. That's what needs to happen.
On that note, audience, the Black Business Roundtable, we thank you for supporting us. We thank you for making us one of the #1 shows on blackusa.news on the West Coast. We thank you for having given us the strength to be in our third year. We are in our third year of fighting for politics, Black economics, and social justice in the Black community. And that is for all people. Barack D. Obama Shaw, continue the good fight. And if you can briefly talk about the ring of truth before I close this out, we want to have our audience understand what is the ring of truth and how they can engage with your organization. Thank you.
Okay, Ring of Truth Political Party gives people an opportunity, because it stands, you've heard of tell us the truth, nothing but the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, right? So we're standing for, hey, let's start with a ring of truth. Let's start with one step at a time. Because if there's a ring of truth there, then people can be clear about what it is that they're walking into, what it is they're they're agreeing to, because instead of, oh, it sounds great, but I don't know what it is. So we want people to have an understanding of what things are, what things mean, and the implications of when laws are passed. What does this mean to you? So, because where there's truth, there's freedom. And that's the whole thing about Ring of Truth political party, that people can, when they're thinking about the electoral process, they can hear a ring. Hey, that makes sense to me. That's clear. That rings a bell. We want to have people having a register, mentally have a register, a sense, an indicator to let them know that they're on track with what's important to them, and that they're clear about what's being presented to them. So that's what, in a nutshell, what Ring of Truth political party is all about.
Honorable Governor Shaw, Barack Obama Shaw.
Obama Shaw, yes.
We appreciate you coming on to the show today.
Thank you.
Yes, Obama Shaw. We humbly ask that you continuously support our movement. As you heard at the beginning of the show, we're talking about getting up to $150,000 to first-time homeowners.
Yes.
We're talking about protecting our senior citizens who are being defrauded out of millions, if not billions of dollars of their hard-earned money. We're talking about holding our elected officials accountable, because based on the alleged allegations that are coming from not just state, but the federal government, what is going on here in Oakland? We have got to change that narrative, because it's not looking good right now.
That's right.
To that end, we want to thank you very much for coming, joining us today as we talk to Mr. Barack D. Obama Shaw, the Honorable Jovanka Beckles, as they run for office and change the landscape and the perception that this country is getting from the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda and the state of California. We can fix this together. God bless. I appreciate you coming on today, and you are always welcome onto the show. Barack Obama Shaw, you have been a friend and a colleague of mine for the last year, maybe 2+ years. And we have to start electing officials who are representing honesty and integrity, instead of FBI raids and governor kick you in the butt saying, I'm trying to help you, but you got to help me help you.
Right.
To that end, stay strong, brother. God bless. Have a good night.
Have a good one. Thank you so much.